Hey everyone, welcome into an all-new episode of the American Huddle alongside Andy Gresh. I'm Haley Outen. Andy, it's the final week of the regular season. Hard to believe, and all eyes are going to be on that marquee matchup on Friday between Cincinnati and Memphis. But let's roll through some of these other games before we get to that. Saturday, Tulsa at ECU. The Pirates were able to pick up their first win on the road against UConn last weekend. What are you expecting for in this last matchup for both of these
Haley, to me, these are two teams that are very similar in terms of their growth curve. We know Phil Montgomery and Tulsa, it feels like they're just snake bit at every turn. And Mike Houston and East Carolina are getting better. I mean, think of this. Look at where ECU was and look at where they are now. And if they end up getting a win, Mike Houston walked in there and won 5 games in year one. Pretty impressive. So I think it's a battle of two teams that are trying to find where they're going. Very evenly matched. I like this. This will be a good game.
How about UConn at Temple?
Yeah, for Temple, a tough luck loss last week, obviously, and we know the conference championship isn't in their future. And for UConn, it's their last American game. So for Temple, it's really about, I think, going and getting a win and cementing Rod Carey as a Coach of the Year candidate.
Tulane at SMU, both of these teams, they're bowl-bound.
Yeah, SMU has had a heck of a year, and I know they had the tough loss to Navy last week, but they're going in the right direction. And in terms of Tulane, maybe 6-6 again. I'm sure for Willie Fritz and crew, they'd love to snag that one more victory to be able to get to 7. Tulane's going in the right direction, and SMU's got a chance to be big.
Finally, final game on Saturday will be Navy at Houston. And Andy, this game could potentially really mean a lot, especially if Memphis loses on Friday for Navy.
And that's the great part for Navy is that they kind of catch a break by playing at 7 o'clock on Saturday. They'll know the circumstances going into that game in terms of what they do or don't need to do if the conference championship is going to be in their future. And look for the middies. I mean, defensively, they've been so much better than I thought this year. Malcolm Perry is clearly a League Player of the Year candidate. And for Houston, it's just the end of a really kind of goofy, confounding season that feels like it kind of went off the exit ramp when De'Aaron King redshirted.
We can't forget on Friday as well, we have USF at UCF, the war on I-4. The Knights are heading to a bowl. The Bulls, not so much this year, but nonetheless, it's a good Florida rivalry.
And I think for USF, it is a be competitive in this game kind of situation. And for UCF, it's, hey, listen, maybe we have a couple losses this year, but we travel well, we score a bunch of points. Hey, you bowl committees, make sure you're keeping an eye on us because we're going to be able to bring people and light up the scoreboard. That said, I expect UCF to handle business, but this will really tell us how far USF has come under Charlie Strong.
All right. Finally, the game that everybody will be waiting for on Friday is Memphis at Cincinnati. And very interesting is that we could potentially see this game, Andy, in back-to-back weeks, especially if Memphis wins on Friday.
So I know I don't know, Haley, how many people know the scenarios, but basically if Cincinnati wins, then they're going to host. And then if Cincinnati wins and Navy wins, Cincinnati will host Navy. If Memphis wins, then the conference championship game will be in Memphis. All those people who think I hate Memphis can yell at me in the parking lot out there because it'll be Cincy at Memphis. And if Cincinnati wins, but then Houston beats Navy, Memphis will play in Cincinnati one more time. So it sounds like an ice cream headache, but it's actually kind of simple.
3 teams still in the running.
Bingo.
But Friday will definitely help us learn a lot. Now, Andy, when you look at both of these teams, Memphis and Cincinnati, what is the biggest matchup, the most exciting matchup that you're expecting?
Which running back is going to be able to eat? And we started to see it with Cincinnati against Temple, where Michael Warren got going in the second half. Cincinnati really came out and kind of punched Temple in the mouth in that second half early on to grab control of that football game. And to me, we're going to be looking at Michael Warren with, 20 carries and 120 yards and 2 touchdowns? Or are we all going to be gushing over Kenny Gainwell having a big day against this Cincinnati defense? I'll be very intrigued to see how Cincinnati goes about trying to slow down Brady White in the passing game for Memphis. We know that they're multidimensional. Since he arguably has the best defense in the American Athletic Conference from stem to stern, great battle. This is going to be a ton of fun. I think it's going to come down to which running backs have big days. And then, of course, turnovers and penalties. Cincinnati, it shocked me the other night when I watched and saw on the ESPN broadcast that they talked about Cincinnati being the most penalized team in FBS football. In a game like this, that could really come back to bite them. And they had a couple really senseless ones, roughing the passer, pass interference. They can't do that stuff against Memphis.
When you look at where both of these teams are at this point in the season, in the final week of the regular season, Cincinnati has only won 3 of their last 4 games by a score. And Memphis has been kind of rolling recently.
Sure.
Do you think that Cincinnati could stumble on the road here at Memphis?
You know, I do think so. And it's one of these deals where your defense normally travels, so I don't think that would be – they're going to face a different kind of team in Memphis who can attack you with a great running back, who, if you forget about Joey Magnifico at tight end, all of a sudden it's 5 catches, 50 yards, and he's moved the chains 3 times. And we know the weaponry that Memphis has on the outside. This, other than Ohio State, will be the biggest challenge for the Cincinnati defense this year. I think the Cincy D will travel. Can they slow down the big plays? Because that's where Memphis really gets you. Tackling's got to be important for Cincinnati. I think Memphis wins this game. And I think they may end up winning it by 10, but the score won't be indicative as to how close this is going to be. This is a real dogfight.
How much will home field be an advantage in this one?
I don't think that much. I really don't. And, you know, geographically, I'm sure there's going to be a big base of Cincy fans that are going to travel. And again, when the identity of your football team is rooted in defense, and that's what Cincinnati's is, you think they're going to travel. They've shown it before. I expect them to do it again.
All right, Cincinnati at Memphis. That's 3:30 p.m. Eastern, Friday on ABC. Of course, the championship game will take place the following Saturday, also a 3:30 p.m. Eastern kick on ABC. So we will find out a lot on Friday. We will find out our fate post-Thanksgiving, where we will be flying.
That's
to the
right,
following
because wherever the American Conference Championship game is, that's where we will be with a big old pregame show. And you know, Haley's working on all this stuff. I just show up, right? But you got
Literally
this.
Not true.
You have this like erector set that's going up into whatever parking lot of whatever stadium we are.
We're gonna have some fun.
Yeah.
It's a great celebration to close out the year.
I dig.
All right, cool. Well, we're looking forward to the final week. Make sure to follow along on Twitter at American_FB. As always, you can also head over to Facebook. Best of luck to all the teams in the final week of the regular season, and we'll see you next week at the American Championship.